Yo, GK Nation.
GPS. The Grown Folks Podcast.
Oh my God. Welcome to the podcast.
An extension of the Grown Folks Kids Show.
Introducing
The host with the most.
the Great Gunny. Keeping it kid.
This is going to be fun.
Because I'm Batman.
Yo, what's going down? What is going down? It is the Great Gunny, and I'm here on GPS. And we doing a special Gunny's Quarter Deck, and we gonna break it down. I got my man, Big Ben, and we gonna be talking about some wrestling. Big Ben, hey, Roethlisberger, you can't be Big Ben no more until you at least get to the playoffs or something. I mean, you know, I know you make it to play, but you ain't making it to the Super Bowl or nothing. Man, Pittsburgh, y'all sucking. Y'all losing all your people. But we not going to get into that. We going to get into some wrestling, some real sports entertainment. So I'm going to talk to my man. He's a part of Cascade Wrestling out here in Spokaloo in the Pacific Northwest, Spokane, Washington. Man, tell us about yourself and what's going on with you.
Well, my name is Ben, and I actually just moved from Spokane and over to the west side. Sorry, east side, but I am still part of Cascade Championship Wrestling here in Spokane. I get to be there, ring announcer, and help out in a few other areas. And so it's just been a great time. I've been a wrestling fan since I was a kid, so it's great to actually be on that side of the industry and
That's what's
to help
up,
them get
man.
over. So
That's what's up. I love that, man. Got that ring announcing, man, and the other things. Okay, so that means you love professional wrestling. So do you like to call it professional wrestling or sports entertainment?
Well, professional wrestling, that's what I grew up watching. As the first moment I watched the Road Warriors, I knew that there was something special about that. The first time they actually wrestled against Manny Fernandez and Rick Rude, and I thought, I don't know who these guys are, but I'm going to have to watch this.
He said Manny Fernandez. Man, look, let me tell you, the Raging Bull. Man, y'all young folks don't know nothing about no Manny Fernandez, boy. Manny Fernandez would bleed like nobody's business. But
yeah, he'd bleed walking into the ring.
yeah, he was bleeding.
Yeah.
You know, he had bladed up real quick. He was like, you know, just let me tat it up in here, and then you just hit me, and then we gonna go. But so let's get into something, man. Let's get into the state of wrestling right now, man.
Yeah, sounds good.
Where do you feel the state of wrestling is at the moment?
Well, I try to kind of balance out because there's a lot of negativity towards wrestling today.
Right.
You know, the hardcore fans are just like, everything's bad about WWE. I don't like anything about it. People just don't watch it. And then you got the other side who everything's good about it. I try to kind of be the gray Jedi in the middle there, where it's like,
the great
you know,
Jedi.
where we can see the positive, but also see some of the negative. Some of the storylines today I'm not real crazy about, but I think that for my money, some of the in-ring work that we see today is just it's incredible.
Oh, most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I feel you on that. But the one thing I will say is that as an avid fan who's been watching it since the 70s, I don't think it's really changed that much except for the storylines. But there's always been good and bad, you know. People look at the Attitude Era like it was the end-all be-all, and the Attitude Era wasn't as great as I think people are trying to remember.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. For me, the Attitude Era, there was a few big stars that stand out, but if you go back and you watch those pay-per-views, not many of the matches were very good, but then you had those stars like the Steve Austins, Edge, and Christian, and The Rock, obviously, that really tended to steal the show so much that you walked away feeling like, wow, that was an incredible show, even though top to bottom, it really usually wasn't a great show.
Yeah, the show wasn't, you know, you had 2 hours, then 3 hours of Raw, and it wasn't all good every time. You'd have a few good, the segments, that's the thing. I think the segments that the WWE had back then were way better than they are now. The production rate is still top notch, but the segments, the believability, even though it was way above and over the top, the believability was really there. And now, you know, I think it's overproduced, overdone, and they're not allowing a little bit of them to portray out into their character.
Yeah, well, I think to me that's the biggest problem right now is that you're not letting the wrestlers get themselves over. I mean, there's so much of the story in the WWE world, especially. There's so much of the writers telling people what to say and what to do, and I get that to a point. You want a storyline to move on. You want to be careful that some of these guys don't go too far off script, but now it's so scripted that you just don't get the natural feel of it. Plus, too often the villains are kind of the Snidely Whiplash kind of thing. So somebody can be, as a hero, can be a tough guy who's taken on anybody, and then all of a sudden he goes bad guy and he's running for people. Like Kevin Owens is the one that drives me the most crazy, because Kevin Owens is my favorite modern wrestler right now.
All right.
But when they make him a villain, he's scared of everybody, and I'm like, that totally goes against the whole idea of fight Owens fight.
Right.
And now that he's kind of a good, I don't know what they're doing with him right now. It makes me sad.
They're trying to make
right
everybody who's popular Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
And we all know that that's a Vince McMahon thing.
Yeah.
He's trying to make the next Stone Cold. He tried to make Roman the next Rock, and he's tried to make Becky the next Stone Cold. Now he's trying to run that McMahon-Austin feud, and it's not translating because everyone's saying they want the Attitude Era back, but they're not wanting the Attitude Era stories back.
Right.
And I think that's where the misconception is coming, is that they're trying to make that. Now, as far as the heel part go, you have your chicken heels, and you have your heel heels. And I don't think Kevin works as a chicken heel. I feel you on that about the running. Now, him doing if he did the more Ric Flair-ish heel, where Ric Flair was a heel that played the chicken role to get the upper hand, I think that would work out a bit. But I don't ever think they let him slide into that, because today's fans don't understand that heel.
Yeah.
They don't under the psychological heel.
What made me really end up liking him a lot is going and seeing him at house shows. He is a master at working the crowd.
Oh, yeah.
And to me, when you move him away from that, where he's just working the crowd, that is the kind of heel he is. Somebody who can just get the crowd to just hate him, get that heat that wrestlers used to desire so much.
Oh, yeah.
And they just don't play it well today. It's just too much of that. And I don't even mind the thing where he like jumps out of the ring right as the match is about to start. That's no problem. It's the whole just the chicken thing that I just can't.
Right.
I just can't.
I see. And I can understand that. You know, with playing the devil's advocate on it. You know, it's like I said, with a guy like Kevin Owens, they have to play to his strengths. You know, as when he does play the heel, they have to play to his strengths of which face are they using, and they usually put him with the face that should be imposing to him. They don't ever put him with a face that he's supposed to be the imposer.
Right.
And I think that's where they're going wrong. They're getting these heels that don't intimidate or they don't allow them to use their intelligence.
Right. Well, I look especially at Kevin Owens when he was Kevin Steen in Ring of Honor.
Right.
And what he did there, he was that I'm going to fight anybody, but he's still a nasty human being that he's portraying and whatnot. To me, that is the gold with him. And that's where you can get that kind of Steve Austin-ish kind of feel with him, when you're just letting him just do that. And, speaking of that, the authority figure whole thing, I am so tired of that.
Yeah.
After Austin and McMahon, and that was great during the Attitude Era, but after that should have just died, and they've been trying to run that for such a long time.
Well, Vince wanted to be on TV.
Yeah.
And you know what? Here's the thing. We can say that Shane ain't no Vince McMahon.
No.
Shane is a better wrestler than Vince McMahon, but Shane ain't better than Stephanie.
Right.
Like, I mean,
right.
As far as heels go, Shane, he's below Linda. I mean, Linda was a better heel than Shane.
Well, the problem with him is being a spot monkey like he is.
Yep.
Spot monkeys usually get the crowd to pop, and so you kind of have that balance of he's trying to be a jerk, but he also is doing the spot monkey moves that gets the crowd to pop, and so it's just this confusing thing that it just, to me, it just doesn't work.
Well, that was the problem when they brought him back. You know, when they brought him back, you didn't expect him to go heel. They brought him back to counter Stephanie and Triple H. So then when they took them off the air, it's like, oh well, we need somebody who's gonna be an authoritative figure that's bad. So instead of taking Shane off and bringing someone else, they made Shane it, and Shane lost that when he got rid of the Mean Street Posse.
Right.
You know, his you know, he's a father now. He can't be like, you know, I hang out with my homies and we do this, and you know, he's a father now.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Now I do like the dynamic him and Kevin have out of the ring.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the ring, not so much, but out of the ring, Shane can play that. Yeah, I'm a father, and I know you're a father, and I know what's going to hurt you. But then you don't ever see him for anything else. You know, you saw Vince in everything.
Right.
You saw Stephanie or Triple H in everything. They had their hands in everybody's cookie jar. Shane picks one person, and then he lets the rest of the WWE go into its own melee.
Yeah, well, and that kind of brings up the next big issue I have with it right now is that they just they're not patient enough with their storytelling. It's like they're trying to push in 3 matches all the time between all of these different wrestlers and not letting things just kind of build. It actually is one of the reasons why I'm actually really excited about the whole Bray Wyatt Fiend character.
Oh man,
to me, they're letting that build.
That Fiend is woo. But you know what? I'm a little upset about what they're doing to the Fiend. They're already. I know it's pretty bad, but they're already censoring the Fiend. You know.
Yeah.
Like he came out. He had the little thing with his head, and man, that was gruesome. Trust me, it was gruesome. If you didn't see it, go try and find an unedited version of that, because now they're editing it so where you don't see the head in the light and the lantern and stuff. But that's awesome.
Well, to me, what's so great about that is that that's all Bray Wyatt.
Right.
I mean, McMahon was pretty much done with him, and he got the chance to kind of build this whole character and this whole mystique and whatnot. And he's like the hottest thing they have going on right now. And to me, the worst thing they can do is put him on TV every week. I mean, it's part of the problem with the 3-hour Raw show is that you kind of put too many guys. It's one of the things that I love so much about NXT. I'm worried that they're going to lose it when they try to go against AEW here pretty soon. But NXT is only an hour. So you don't see everybody every week. And so when they come up, it's kind of an exciting thing. It reminds me of the old World Championship Wrestling show on TBS that really started getting me hooked into
even
NWA.
Primetime was like that. The WWF Primetime, where it was actually a talk show with Gorilla and Bobby, the greatest tandem on the microphone ever. But had them on the mic doing like a talk show, and then they would throw wrestling matches in. So, but then that goes back to the thing is less more, or do you need more? Because the fans always say they want more, but then when they give them more, they complain. Yeah. So should we get rid of this? Let's listen to fans and go back to the way, because I was never upset, you know, getting into the new thing with Brock Lesnar being champ. I never had a problem with Brock being champ, because when you're the champ, you should be the spectacle. You should be Hogan didn't always be on the show. Right. You might have saw a promo from Hogan, or you might have saw a package about Hogan, but you didn't see Hogan on every show on Saturday. Right. You know?
Yeah, and I agree with you. I didn't have a problem with the whole Brock Lesnar not on the show all the time. My problem was that they didn't do a good job building the other people around the show. And so you didn't have that where you had those characters who you were excited about, who you were invested in, and it was tough to get invested in them, and it's still tough to get invested in some of these, because like I mentioned Kevin Owens earlier. I get invested in Kevin Owens, and then I see what they did with him like last week on Smackdown. I was just like, I was so excited about the King of the Ring tournament, and I was like, finally, you know, they're going to do that. And then I didn't mind him losing, even though I had him picked to go to the finals. I didn't mind him losing, but the screw job thing, I'm just like, really, just to kind of keep this thing going on. I'm like, that kind of stuff just frustrates me.
I don't think Kevin Owens should have been King of the Ring.
I don't think he should
I
have been
don't
king of the
even
ring
think he
either,
shouldn't have went further on. I think he should have got, but I think they could have found a better way for him to lose. So that way he could, if he's going to be the face, he needs to look within himself and say, okay, I'm losing to a guy who's not better than me. And then I got Shane McMahon, who is no way the real best in the world, just screwing me over. What do I got to do to be a better face? Because he's not really a face. So they got to find a way to make him a face.
Right. Well, then they have the little vignette where he's out there kind of basically begging to take it. To me, that if they want to do the whole Stone Cold thing, you would have never saw Stone Cold begging for his job or begging for his money to be not taken away from one of them.
I feel you.
Come on
but
now,
I think they're trying to get away from that. I think Eric Bischoff is really trying to get away with that, get away from that Stone Cold thing, but still keep some kind of rapport with them. But it's just rough because they're trying to do a transition in without scrapping everything.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's the hardest. I think that's the hardest part for Eric. I don't think it's going to be hard for
Paul Heyman.
But for Eric, it'll, because Eric is all about gusto.
Right.
Balls to the wall. Let's make it go. And realism. And what's going on between the two of them is real, because as a father, you say you're going to fine me, but I don't make that much money for $100,000. But if you say you're going to fine me $400 because I was late or I did something wrong, I might have to go in there and be like, hey, boss, hold up, man. I'm your dad. I'm a dad. What's up with that?
Right.
But I don't know, man. But I don't want this to be a harping on just the WWE. What
agree.
about the other promotions like the NWA, which is making a small trickled up comeback? Ring of Honor, TNA, which is Impact Wrestling, which I don't know how they stay in business. Good Lord, they jump from how they go from one TV channel to another TV channel like this and just stay. It behooves me.
Yeah, I don't know how they've stayed it, because I follow a lot of the independent wrestling, but I kind of fell away from them right after the whole Aces and Eights thing, because I was like, oh great, another NWO storyline. And so I really didn't follow. I kind of keep a passing view on what they're doing, but not super close on them. I think that it is a good time to be a wrestling fan, because the independent scene is beginning to become stronger and stronger.
Yes.
And they're starting to recognize that they don't have to try to be WWE. I think that's where TNA made their mistake, because they were just trying to basically copy WWE, and that's not the way to do it. The way to do it is to say, okay, this is what WWE is offering. We're going to offer something totally different. ROH. I've always really enjoyed ROH.
Right.
Because they put a lot of emphasis on ring work and guys getting themselves over with their promos and whatnot. And it goes through peaks and valleys because they don't have much money, so it's easier for the other guys to come and pick them up and kind of take them away. AEW, I'm excited. The biggest, I have two challenges with AEW right now.
Okay, let's hear it.
One of them is I think Cody is spending way too much time focusing on WWE and Vince McMahon and all of that, and he just needs to focus on the product that they're doing,
right,
and what they've got coming. And then my other thing is that with the WWE network being the price that it is, and then them having pay-per-views again that are like $50-$60, I'm like, I've got 4 kids. I'm not paying $50 for a pay-per-view when, my wife doesn't even understand why I pay $12.99 for WWE Network.
So,
I'm not getting away with $50 for a pay-per-view.
$50.
As much as I want to see it, I just can't do that.
Right.
So I think that's going to be the challenge for them to overcome, is that with all of the streaming networks that are coming in right now, I don't see them putting the genie back in the bottle for long with the whole pay-per-view idea, because it's, then when Disney Plus drops, I mean, that's another thing that I'm going to be paying money out for. So,
Disney Plus is, woo.
I mean, Netflix might have to go bye-bye at that point, because
you gotta weigh the options of what you're getting here, because you're gonna get your Hulu wrapped up in the Disney Plus. But no, I feel you on that. And also I think Cody, don't hate me, but your belt is ugly. And you didn't have to get Bret Hart to bring it because he was decrepit looking, and it felt like he was just doing it to be mad at Vince McMahon for whatever reason he was going to be mad.
Yeah,
but
Bret Hart is just.
He's
I don't want to
over
get on Bret Hart too much, but Bret Hart, I get tired of the whole. I read his book actually. It was a thick, like 500-page book or whatnot. That man is so bitter. I'm like, you know what? I realize that things have been tough for you in some ways. I'm still not convinced that some of that whole Montreal screw job was not a work anyways.
Man, I'm thinking some of it was. I'm thinking, man, look. I learned a long time ago, 3 men can't keep a secret unless 2 of them are dead. And there's no way that Earl Hebner, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Vince McMahon, who else was in the room when they said that they decided this? The Stooges. Mm-hmm. So that's almost 6 people. Mm-hmm. And you mean tell me no one said anything that got back to Owen or anybody or, the British Bulldog or nothing got back to Bret that this was going to happen? I mean, Bret should have dropped the title without having an issue. Yeah. But, that's just my opinion.
That's kind of what you do in wrestling. Yes, he didn't want to do it the way that and that could have been handled differently. But ultimately, I just think that the man is so bitter, and I think you can see it in him. I mean, talking about him looking decrepit and whatnot, I think a lot of that is he's just got a lot of bitterness that he's
got a lot of unforgiveness that he doesn't want to give out.
If he walked in my office, I would take him to Hebrews and say, you know what? You've let a bitter root take root in your life, and you need to get rid of that.
Bitter root! Ooh, we pulling out the scriptures on y'all. Y'all don't even know.
Well, I'm a preacher, so
No. They know how we do it. Sometimes we just have to pull out the scriptures and go to town. We try not to beat them over the head with it, but sometimes it got to be done. And Bret, I think you do. You need to go in your closet and talk to the man and see where your forgiveness starts at. Because man, you being petty, homie. You didn't even show up to the reunion. That's petty, But anyway, so we running it about, and we focus more so on the WWE, which is the king of the hill right now. We're not gonna go too much into king of the hill because Jeff Jarrett, he don't know which side of the brand he want to be a part of. Does he want to be on WWE or does he want his own? But I always like Jeff Jarrett for a little point. Tell that thing with him and Kurt Angle and their wives. That was a little messy. That shouldn't have made it to business. You keep your personals out of business. But
I watched Jeff Jarrett and I'm kind of like, oh, good, Jeff Jarrett. And then after a couple of minutes, I'm like, oh yeah, that's why I didn't like it.
It's Jeff Jarrett. So, but we're gonna run into the we're gonna run into it. We're gonna run into what are we gonna talk about? We're gonna talk about AEW. But before we go into AEW, we're gonna take a break. GPS. Yo, we are back. And we have been talking about the state of the wrestling, professional wrestling. And I got my man Big Ben here, and we, he's got the War Game shirt on. Man, you got the War Game shirt on. I love the War Games. I wish they would bring it back the right way. They do the little NXT thing, but they bring it back the right way. But I think, yeah, that's right. I'm wearing Ric Flair. Yeah, that's right. He is the greatest champion of all time. Y'all can come at me on that one. There ain't nobody close unless you're gonna call out Kurt Angle.
That's a losing argument if people go against that.
Yeah, unless you call out Kurt Angle as far as a real champion on all levels, Ric Flair is number one. SGG, yeah, that's right. I'm talking to you, stat guy Greg. Bret Hart is nowhere near Ric Flair.
Well,
not even in his class.
Just talking about Ric Flair, what made Ric Flair so great is he could make anybody look like a champion. He could make anybody look. When he would go to these different territories, he would wrestle against whoever. He could come up to Portland Wrestling, and he would take their top wrestler and make them look like just the best wrestler in the world, understanding the game enough to know that now that guy's over more in this territory because, hey, he took the champ.
And now I can beat him and get that money. But there was that old saying that Ric Flair could wrestle a broom, and make them think it was going to win. You know, so Rick was on it. But let's lessen it down, and I'm going to make a lot of jokes about this. So I don't know how you feel about this, but I'm going to make a lot of jokes about AEW. Yeah, I know it's going to make people mad, but you know, I call them AWE. But you know, all wrestling events, because that's all they do is wrestle events, because pay-per-views don't make you a great wrestler. Just because you got a few good indie wrestlers and a couple of good minds don't mean you're gonna break it down. Man, you know what? I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna get your take on it, and then I'll fire out, you know, throw my matchstick on there.
Right. Well, so, I think that, you know, even when they have their show that's coming on, was it TNT that they're coming on to?
on TNT. Does it got a name?
I think the problem, I don't know what the name is, but I think that the problem that they're gonna, I don't think they have one yet.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. You ain't got Impact has a name.
So I think that where they're gonna struggle a lot is, first of all, you're dealing with a lot of independent wrestlers who are used to being able to have freedom to kind of do what they want, and being able to, you know, MJF is a good example. How do you get that guy to be okay on a Turner broadcast? I mean,
how does he translate on TV?
Yeah, that's going to be tough. I mean, I'm sure that he can filter himself to a point, but I've seen that guy online enough to know that he doesn't have a filter.
No, he drops the F-bomb more than Samuel Jackson.
Yeah. So he's out there. So the other thing is, I think that they're kind of they're touching on a nerve for a lot of us who have been just jonesing for ring work. But I think that they're going to find the same thing that NXT has found a lot of times, is that works until the law of diminishing returns jumps in there, where it's like, okay, I've seen this before, you need to do something else.
What are you going to do? Yeah,
and so that's the part I'm a little bit. Yeah, it's easy to, you know, they're kind of like the new girlfriend that everybody's like excited about and whatnot. And so
I said that to Dre a long time ago, is that's what they are. You know, matter of fact, that's what I said that what's Dean, what is his name now? Not Dean Ambrose, but what do they
Moxley, John Moxley.
John Moxley. All he is the ex-girlfriend who's just bitter and can't get out of the way.
Well, and I think that's the thing, is that everybody's like excited about what he's doing right now, and there's good reason to. He's doing some good work right now, but I think that is that gonna hold over for a year? I don't think so. And that's part of the challenge.
Now.
Yeah, we've seen that before, and that's always been the challenge for wrestling, is that law of diminishing returns. I mean, you think about when Mick Foley got thrown off the top of the Hell in the Cell. It was amazing. It was incredible. How could somebody put themselves through that? And now you see people jumping off of it and all that.
They're trying to recreate it, and you can't. That was a once in a lifetime. Not even gonna say once in a lifetime. What they did was up the ante of what Jimmy Snuka did to Don Morocco. And you can't up the ante from being thrown off a 50-foot, 30-foot steel cage. I mean, it was a sail. I mean, it was, I don't know if it was really 30 feet, but it was really high. And he didn't hang on the side and fall.
Right.
The Undertaker tossed him, and if he'd have tossed him just a little too much, that would have been it. That would have been it.
Right.
So
I just think that it is. I see AEW in that light, as where it's like, okay, what are you going to be doing 6 months from now, 8 months from now? Are you going to really be able to hold the audience? Right now, they're selling out. They're getting, people are talking about them going to be.
Girl.
But it's that new girlfriend thing.
They're the ones you want to take the Red Lobster and Sizzler. And then, that just shows my age, taking the Red Lobster and Sizzler until you've been together for a couple of months, and then it's like, I'm going to put some cheese on your Whopper. Maybe you can get some fries today because,
Right, yeah. So, and that's
you
the
ain't
part
special
I think
no more.
That's the part that I think they're going to struggle about is that what happens after that initial excitement wears off. Are they really going to be able to keep things interesting? Because you can only bring surprises in so often, and pretty soon you've got to be able to tell stories and whatnot. And so I'll be interested to see because I like the idea that they're going to let people cut their own promos and they don't have all the writers and stuff like that. But I think eventually they're going to change that, because
it's going to shoot them in the foot.
Yeah,
because then these guys are. I mean, you got a few guys that they've been in the business long enough to do it. But that's going to cut them in the foot. I mean, even going back to their matches, you can't have but so many false finishes.
Right.
I mean, I watched the Young Bucks have this match, and it was an amazing match. But a lot of their finishes, I was like, well, that should have ended the match.
Right.
So now that didn't end the match, you can never use that move to end the match.
Right.
Because these guys kicked out of the match, kicked out of that. Finishers don't hold the levity anymore.
Right.
Except for Brock Lesnar, which I'm still mad about him putting one F5 on Samoa Joe, and that was the end of the match.
Yeah. It probably don't need to bring up the Samoa Joe thing because I might cry here on the show.
Okay, yeah, we are the same way. Samoa should have been had a world title, but
yeah, so
him and Bobby Roode.
Oh, Bobby Roode also. Oh,
yeah. So
man, if I was Catholic, I'd cross myself right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's rough, but for me with the AEW thing, one of the other challenges I think they're going to run into is they're going to have to start signing guys to exclusive contracts,
right?
Because being part of at least one of my good friends is a promoter, and one of the biggest problems that he has is he will put a card together, he will plan the card, and then somebody gets sick, somebody gets hurt, somebody's getting more money to wrestle across the state.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, this match that you've been pushing for a month, now all of a sudden you have to drop it. And that's, now I realize AEW is trying to be the second biggest wrestling promotion out there. I get that, but you're going to be running into these problems that McMahon has had to deal with for years,
right,
and knows how to deal with them and whatnot.
But
so,
that's the thing is that, and I think Cody is going to be aware of that. I just think it's going to be hard for Cody to translate that to these younger guys who are so, it's real easy to say I'm going to be the boss of something until you have people working under you. And
right.
then it's like, no, you got to follow the rules,
Right.
Well, we weren't following the rules before. I thought we were an anarchy. Yeah, but I mean, New Japan just found that out. You don't have an exclusive contract. You got Moxley who's their U.S. champ, but he can't defend his U.S. title in the United States on a big pay-per-view.
Yeah, but I think New Japan has an advantage in that not only do they have a completely sold out Japanese audience, but I think that they have enough American interest in there where you can still they can still run shows and keep that interest. I'll just be interested to see how AEW is going to handle some of this, and are they just going to be doing the whole WCW thing that every time somebody leaves WWE, they're just going to pick them up? And to me, that's going to be the thing.
But that's what TNA did. That's what TNA did. Jeff Jarrett was like, "Oh, he's gone. Come on over here. We're gonna put you back on."
Right.
So, but AEW, we there's not too much we can gripe about them yet because they haven't started. So, let's talk about something that's getting there. We were talking about Ric Flair, and his daughter's wrestling now, Charlotte Flair. So, speaking of Charlotte Flair, let's talk about the women of wrestling. Let's talk about where the women wrestling has risen to.
Right.
Because I think it's hit a stalemate a little. It's getting a little stagnant. But let's see where it's going and where you think it can chalice to.
Well, I definitely think that it was timely that it was able to get over the way it was, and they're actually letting the women be more than just sex objects.
Oh yeah.
Because to me that was one of the things about, for me personally, why the Attitude Era was so terrible, and even the Hangover with the whole divas and whatnot, is that you basically are treating women like objects, and that shouldn't have flowed back then, but it's definitely not going to fly today.
No. Oh,
and so
man.
showing that they have great athletes, but I don't think that the women's revolution, as WWE likes to call it, I don't think that the women's revolution would have been what it was if it wasn't for the fact that Charlotte Flair is not only the greatest women's wrestler to ever wrestle, but she's right up there.
Oh, you're preaching
when it comes to even the guys. I mean,
you're preaching, man. I've been preaching this for over 2 years now. That Sasha Banks, trash. Bayley, Becky Lynch, trash. Man, I'm telling you, man, trash. Dre gets mad because I be Sasha Banks and Bayley, and I be saying they trash. Man, I'm trash. Charlotte does not have any bad matches.
Yeah, well, Charlotte can make anybody look good.
She's her daddy.
I was a big fan of Becky when she was going for the title. Now, to me, they can't get that title off her
What
fast
is
enough
she?
because she's boring as a champion.
She's boring.
And I think it's good that they brought Sasha back, that maybe that'll be somebody that she can actually lose the title to, but I don't know. I've seen Sasha in some good matches against Bayley and against Charlotte Flair. I just don't know how long-term she's going to be able to keep
but
herself.
that's the same thing I'm saying. Charlotte can have a good match with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Sasha, Bayley, and Becky have good matches with each other because that's who they are. They curved themselves around.
Right.
They wrestled together. They did it together. But when they have matches with other women, it's like they can't function or flow. You know, I mean, I think it's time for the Becky experiment is dead.
Right.
I mean, the man is dead.
Well,
I mean, they cut Asuka out.
Right. Well, and I think that to me, where a lot of the women's revolution, as it were, kind of fell apart was actually with Ronda Rousey.
Yes,
even
I
though
agree.
Ronda Rousey got them a lot of exposure, ultimately they started to bury people like Asuka, for example. There is no reason for them to bury Asuka. Asuka should be not only the champion, she's been the champion for a long time, because her and Charlotte Flair should be that
rivalry.
battle
That should
between
be the
one
Ric
another.
Flair, Ricky Steamboat.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
Yeah,
that would be it. And you know what? I had no problem with Charlotte being the one to break Asuka's title streak. I had a problem with once Asuka got the title, she was just like a forgotten champion.
Yeah, then they're having her lose to Carmella, which, I mean...
Carmella!
Carmella, the best thing to ever happen to Carmella is R-Truth.
Oh,
because that guy is the funniest guy in all of wrestling.
He's a vampire, man. Isn't he like 70 or something? R-Truth like 70, and he
was old when they hired him.
Yeah,
so
man, when he was K-Quick.
Yeah, but that guy is so funny that he.
But he's living proof, besides Kofi, that he's living proof that if you take what you're given and put your all to it, you can make it work.
Right.
Because that was one of the things that made me mad about Dean Ambrose when he gave that interview, is that they gave him these stupid things, and I went out and did my best, but I hated it. They gave R-Truth a title that people booed on from the time they saw it, and he made it the best thing on TV. Like, people don't even say, oh, I hated the title. People are buying the title, and they are online having I'm coming to your town and I'm gonna be having this belt. And if you want to take it from me, come see me. Because they're going to wrestling matches and they're having 24/7 matches.
Well, a great example of that, just you brought it up there, is really the whole New Day. I mean, that gimmick that they gave them at first was stupid. That was the worst thing I'd seen in a long time. But instead of complaining about it and whining about it, those guys just made it something. Yeah, and those guys are killing it.
Right, but they wanted it. They wanted that. And what happened was they took upon it and said, okay, y'all are writing this for us. Mm-hmm. But how about if they fought their way to Vince and said, well, how about if we do this?
Right. Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on, man. You can't. I mean, we got off subject about the women, talking about the New Day, and that's hard to say. I don't want to, I ain't disrespecting the women, but Xavier Woods having them Iron Sheik boots and don't nobody talk about it. He's wearing Iron Sheik boots with the hooks, and the commentators don't even talk about it. I mean, that's awesome. But
well, getting back to the women, though,
yes.
I mean, I think that one of the areas that they really, again, it's, and this is one of my big problems with WWE right now, is they move people from NXT up too quickly when they're not ready for whatever reason they do. Mm-hmm. And they brought up, what's her name? The woman that Becky was wrestling against for a while there. I forget her name. Anyway, that's how forgettable she is.
Oh, wow.
So
Becky, let's see, Becky.
Yeah, she was with Baron Corbin there for a while. It's that Southern Belle girl.
Oh, you're talking about Lacey Evans.
Lacey Evans, who actually, when she was in NXT, she has some talent, but she needs about a year of.
She was what Vince liked.
Yeah, I mean, she's beautiful. She's definitely got some strength to her, but she needed time to kind of grow into that character. They've got a number of girls in NXT who are like that right now.
They should have just put her with Charlotte.
Yeah,
I think that would have been a better, if they'd have made them a tag team. Because I think if they would have made them a tag team or made them go against each other, that would have they threw her to the fire with the best.
Right.
Charlotte would have made her a better wrestler.
Yeah. Yeah.
You put her with Becky Lynch, and Becky Lynch is, if you watch her matches, Becky Lynch is about self. Because the match that Lacey Evans had with Becky Lynch at Breaking Bad, is that what, Stomping Grounds?
Stomping Ground.
Okay, well, they came here and had that same match, and it was a better match at a house show than it was at the pay-per-view the next day.
Right.
So I don't see how, I see that these women don't have, where Charlotte is stagnant at is where these other women are stagnant. Charlotte's stagnant because there's no one to push her.
Right, yeah.
But there's only one Charlotte and Asuka to push these other girls, and you can't put them all with them, and then...
Well, then they killed Asuka by putting her, not only having her lose all the time, but also putting her with a tag team that she has no... Again, Kairi Sane, a great talent.
Why didn't they just keep
leave
Kairi
her
Sane
where she was at?
But they could have brought the tag team up and brought the other girl.
Right, yeah.
What, Asuka's cousin?
Yeah.
What's her name?
Io Shirai.
Yeah, Io Shirai.
Yeah.
They could have brought her, and they were a better tag team, and let Asuka, or they could have been a trio.
Right.
I don't know why they're not pushing these factions and trying to get this Samoan family to get together.
Well,
maybe.
for me, I'm a big, huge. I mean, again, like I said earlier. I got started in wrestling watching the Road Warriors.
Right.
I mean, I knew I was going to be a wrestling fan as soon as I saw Hawk and Animal the first time. But Vince doesn't do tag teams well. And so anytime anybody gets into a tag team situation, I'm just like, it makes me sad because, like the Revival, I love those guys.
Oh,
but
great tag team.
They need to be somewhere where they're actually appreciated and can be built up. And that's, to me, the big problem with the women's revolution right now is you put Ronda Rousey in there. She basically ran the tables and got them some notoriety and whatnot. Now that's like, okay, what do we do now? We've got Becky here as champion like the fans wanted supposedly, but now it's stale, and then they hurt it even worse by making it full all the public stuff with her and Seth Rollins and whatnot, which I'm just like, I don't know how. I apologize if you guys watch this, but I don't know how they're going to get married because those two have no chemistry on camera at all.
No, on camera, they look, man, they are worse than Chris Hemsworth
and
Natalie Portman. Oh my gosh, those two had no chemistry on screen, and Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins look at each other on camera like, "Hey pal, how you doing?" The most that I got out of them was when she patted him on the butt.
Yeah.
And then I was like, man, she just demasculated her man. What kind of crap is that?
Yeah, anytime that you do a gimmick like that and then it hurts both people, I'm like, you guys, that's an epic fail there.
But we're going there, and I'm gonna have you back on because we're just gonna do a whole women's revolution, because I wanted to talk about Beth Phoenix and Natalie and Natalya when they were the Divas of Doom, because that was like my favorite tag team for a long time. They had that move, but and they did Natalya. But we're gonna run into this independent wrestling, which I know you know a lot about because you run your own independent wrestling federation, Cascade. You don't run it, but you're part of the inner working circles, and guys like Daniel Bryan is coming in, and he took the independent. I'm gonna give it to Dan. Everybody wants to say it was CM Punk, but I don't like CM Punk, so we ain't gonna use him. Dre ain't here, so he can suck it because he put this stupid thing on my golden mic, so he can suck it. No CM Punk. CM Punk sucks. That's why his pop is not around to be seen. But
I used to be a CM Punk fan, but over the last couple of years, he's just such a baby.
He's like Brett.
Yeah, I can't deal with him anymore.
He is like Brett.
Yeah.
And the fans suck for keep calling him when he disappoints the fans 24/7.
Right. Last thing you want is him back. It's just not going to be good.
Back to this, you got Daniel Bryan, who started out as Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon in Ring of Honor, and then you got Buddy Murphy, who came up from Australia and a couple of other places. This new independent drive. I'm not gonna call it a revolution because it's always been, because independence is just basically the territories.
Right. Yeah.
But it's this drive of these guys actually getting their worth, and seeing Daniel Bryan lay on his back for Buddy Murphy was a big thing, for me to see. because I always knew Daniel Bryan was that type of guy, but to actually see it and then hear people complain about it, you know, and as you being in the independents, you know, let's get into your Cascade Federation and how you feel about this new independent drive that's coming.
Well, Cascade Championship Wrestling is a promotion here in Spokane.
Okay.
Which is a tough place because Spokane doesn't have a huge history of wrestling, and a number of promotions have tried to put shows here, and it typically doesn't work out.
Right.
Cascade Championship Wrestling started about 3 years ago now. That we just had our big show of the year, our WrestleMania.
Okay.
The Cascade Classic, which will be on YouTube here within the next week.
Oh,
and
well, then that means I got to see it.
It is must-see TV. You
All
want
right.
to talk about a top-notch. Our main event was a ladder match against Jay Manson, who is one of our stalwart guys here in the Spokane area, against Adin Reyes, who is a well-traveled independent wrestler. He's from Utah, but he travels all around here in the Pacific Northwest and all around in California and whatnot. Those two killed it. And if nothing else, when you see the ladder hit Adin in the head, it's one of those times where you watch it and you go, oh man. So anybody says that wrestling's fake, I encourage you to watch our video on the Cascade Classic, because I saw this gash on Adam's head. It was some serious stuff. But so Cascade Championship Wrestling, we run most of our events out of the Museum Event Center.
Okay.
Right here in Hilliard. It's only we just have a chair fee of $5. If you don't want a chair, if you want to just stand there, you can watch for free.
Oh, wow. That's what's up.
We have wrestlers here from the Spokane area, and then we also bring wrestlers in from various different areas here in the Northwest. We've got there's a pretty a strong group over in Seattle that we can get some guys from, and also from just different places. Different wrestlers know. Adam knows a lot of people that he brings up and whatnot for us. So we get to see some good top level talent, but we also have guys who are really working hard. I think about one of our guys who's one of our top guys, Brad. Brad Elliott, he just does an incredible job of just developing himself. I've watched him over the last 2 years as he's developed, as not just his in-ring work, which is great, but just the way that he interacts with the fans and whatnot. You can just see these guys developing and getting better and learning. And we've got a pretty committed fan base. We always could use some more people coming and cheering us on.
Yeah,
and,
me and Dre will make sure, I'm gonna make sure I get the Dre Irv in there, because he keeps eating my mama's Nutter Butters and he gets me in trouble. So he gonna treat me to a wrestling match here.
And it's
stop
definitely
eating my mama's Nutter Butters.
Yeah, it's definitely worth coming to. We've got actually 2 events coming up. Our next event is actually happening it's in Spangle, Washington, on September 7th. We're gonna have it's a total benefit. It's a benefit. We do these. We'll do our normal events, but we also do some benefit events every once in a while, where we just all the money that we bring in outside of our concessions goes to benefit something. So just recently we did an event to help kids who with developmental disabilities. This particular one it's called the Waylon Dean Benefit. So but again, that's on September 3rd or September 7th at 3:00 in Spangle, Washington. Then our next big event is the Monster Mash that happens on October 25th.
Mash.
Yeah, and we the main event of it is the Monster Mash. And you've seen TNA's Monsters Ball. Yeah, it's similar to that but better.
Better.
Yeah, the Monster Mash is coming up on October 25th. So at the Museum Event Center. So come on down and check us out.
All right. So before I get into the final gunny question to see whether I have to put you on the quarterdeck and you give me some push-ups or something, hit us with that social media. Show it. Tell the GPS and the GK Night and the what should I call y'all today? The Gunnies Misfits. What you like and what you're not what you like, man. I'm all over the place today because I'm still mad about freaking AEW. But no, tell us about your social media sites, how we can look you up and get in touch with y'all.
Yeah, 2 best ways right now to check out Cascade Championship Wrestling is on our Facebook page. So you can just go to Facebook, Type in Cascade Championship Wrestling and you find us there. You can also find us on YouTube, and we've got a lot of our events are up on YouTube, so you can go and catch up with what's going on at Cascade Championship Wrestling. And like I said, once the Cascade Classic 3 gets up there, you're gonna want to check that out, because from beginning to end, every match is good on it. It's just it's a well-run, well-worked event, so it's definitely one you want to check out. So.
All right. So, Gunny's question, in no particular order, give me your top 3 wrestlers of all time.
Top 3 wrestlers of all time. Well, I'm going to start with number 1, even though typically you build up. Number 1 is Arn Anderson.
Ooh.
I love Arn Anderson because not only was he a great in-ring worker, not only was he great on the mic, but one of my favorite aspects of Arn Anderson is he was all about the show, getting other people over, making other people look great. So Arn Anderson's definitely number 1 on my list.
Okay.
Number 2, Ric Flair. To me, if you have a list, if you have a top 3 and you don't have Ric Flair in there, that I'm not sure you've been watching wrestling.
I agree.
And then number 3, I have to go with my favorite as a kid, was Sting. I just was the biggest Sting mark. So,
man, I think you're gonna be doing some push-ups. Sting. In your top 3.
Yep.
Now,
not the
of
pro
all
Sting.
time, I said of all times, and you telling me Sting is in your top 3 of all times.
Yeah. Well, Sting. Now, understand, this is the bleach blonde Sting.
Hey, man.
This is the. I wasn't really into the whole pro thing, but
it's Sting.
Yeah.
Sting's okay, but Sting, man. Sting wasn't worthy to be in the ring with Ric Flair. But we ain't gonna go there. It's okay, Sting Donatello. It's gonna be all right, now. Oh, that's Sting Raphael. But so we gonna wrap this up while Big Ben gives me 20 Marine Corps push-ups. We gonna wrap this up. You are on the GPS. And I'm just saying, peace out. Stay kid. And if you see the Dre Irv out there, telling me, yo, my mama some Nutty Butters and to buy me some Hershey Kisses, because I gotta make it up to my wife today. So, peace out. Cascade Wrestling.